Hi guys, I'm a treasurer for the Montana conference. So today I will be showing you how to use Jewel church accounting software. And so I have Sabbath offering, I have a bill that I'm going to pay online, and I also have some receipts that I already reimbursed the pastor for, but we can just look over that and see how that's done. Okay, so basically what I do first is I just take all the offering and tithes and I check the envelopes first of all to make sure that they all have the date written there, somebody's name written there, all the money is allocated properly onto, the different places that it can go, and also that the check number, if it's a check, is written there, because those are the main important things that we need to make sure we have in the tithe envelopes. And then I add that all up and write it down on a piece of scratch paper so that I can double check myself afterward. And then I add up also all the money that came in as loose offering again so that I can double check myself, and I write that down on my paper, and then I go to Jewel church accounting software. So basically I do all the work beforehand, add it all up beforehand, and then I kind of need to do it again in the software, but that's okay. That's how we make sure we don't make mistakes, right? Okay, see this for example? This person put $5 here, but they did not put their name. So I have to put in no name because I don't know who that was, and then we'll record it as no name. This person, they put how much there, and they did put their name there. I'm covering it, but they didn't put the date. This person didn't put anything at all. There's nothing there, so this goes in the loose offering, unfortunately. This person put in 100, and they also did not write the date, and so I had to write the date for them, but they said they put in 100 and there was actually 120 in here, so I will have to call this person and see what they want to do with it. Loose offering was $269, so I'm going to write that down. The offering was $269. And the envelopes, then I add all these up in the same way. Okay, that was $2,064.55. So I write that down. And then I add the total so I can get the total. Okay. That's what we need. Now we're going to get on Jewel and record this, and now we need all the tithe envelopes and also these totals that we wrote down. Let's start a new offering, and there's the date, and this is why we need the total, is because now we can take that total right there and it asks for that. So we're going to put that in 2333.55. And then you just hit enter. The cool thing about Jewel is that you can just hit enter throughout the whole thing and it'll just keep you going straight through it. So now this all has to be blurred out, but basically what I'm doing is I'm typing in the donors' names with their last name first, and then if we've already had these donors, then it should autofill it for you. And then it's pretty self-explanatory. If they gave cash, you put in the cash box. If they gave a check, you put the amount in the check box, and then it'll ask you for the check number and you put that in too. And then it will move on down to where you can put it, just fill it out just like as if you're filling out a tithe envelope. So the first thing should be tithe, and you just put in the amount that the person gave for tithe or whatever, or you can put in whatever else they put in the tithe envelope. Once we're all done with all the offering, then Jewel will just kick us out basically, because it knows that we reached our total. But I did all the envelopes and it's not done. So that means now we come back over here to this and we put in the offering amount, and we just put that. There's a donor ID that is called church loose offering, and we just put that in as $269 of cash. And for my church, that's going to the church budget right now. You will have to figure out where it's going. It usually changes from Sabbath to Sabbath, but my church's church budget, so we put that in. It says the amount of the entered envelopes equals the offering total. Would you like to proceed to make deposit? Why, yes, I would. Okay, then this is just where I use to fill out the deposit slip for my bank. I use that section right there. It says how much cash and how many checks, or how much from checks, and then the total. But you can change the deposit date or the memo date or whatever you need to change right there. But then we're all good to go basically. So you just gather up all your cash, and you gather up the checks too, and you'll probably need to stamp all these checks on the back, and then fill out the deposit slip or whatever your bank does, and then take it to the bank, and you're good to go with the offering. Okay, now we're going to pay this bill online and write a check to reimburse the pastor for these receipts. And the interesting thing with Jewel is that both of these are going to be under the write a check option. So even though this one is online, we're still going to use the write a check option in Jewel for that. So first I'm going to log into the electricity company, which is where I pay the online bill, and go ahead and pay that there using the bank account information. And also go ahead and print the receipt for that. Okay, and then we're going to go over to Jewel and record that payment in the write a check option. And we want to make sure that electronic payment is checked. Okay, for the receipts, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to write a check, fill it all out, do not check electronic payment on that one, and then which account this money is coming out of, the amount again. Then what I like to do is staple those receipts together and put a little sticky note on them and just write down that I did in fact pay those and the check number that I paid it with. Now I didn't mention it, but I'm going to also go over the reconciliation really quickly because that is also something that you will be using on a regular basis. So at the end of the month, when you close the month, the system automatically will walk you through the steps and it prints out all these papers, a whole bunch of papers here. And you can look at this and then look at your bank statement too, which we'll look at in just a minute. And just, it's really easy. You just basically check it off in Jewel just to make sure that it has cleared. Okay, so unfortunately I have to blur a lot of this out, but I'm just gonna go to the Reconcile tab and then select the one that I want to reconcile, which in this case is the checking account right now. And then it shows up basically every transaction that we have done within the checking account for ever since we last reconciled it. So the first thing we're going to do here is put in up here at the top the ending balance, which we'll find on the bank account reconciliation. So we're just going to go over here along the edge and check them off one by one as they show up on the bank statement. And then if we have done it all right, it will show a difference of 0 right there. If there is something wrong, then you'll have to look back over what you checked off and see if you did that wrong maybe, or maybe there's some interest that you didn't record. And that's what we would use this section for right down here. Basically the only thing you will use that section for is interest earned usually. You do not want to use that section down there for like a payment that you made to someone or a deposit that someone made, because there's no place down there to record who it came from or who it's going to. So there you go. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments below and I will do my best to answer them. If I can't answer them, the Jewel tech support people are very helpful and would be happy to help you. If you have something you would like me to cover that I didn't cover, also put that in the comments. And you are well on your way to doing an awesome job. Thank you so much for serving God and serving your church members and serving just everyone around you with your talents. Bye. Hi guys, today I'll be showing you guys how to go through. Why am I looking like this? I look like I'm really worried about something. We need untied envelopes. What is wrong with me? Okay, now we need, I need Jewel that you need to have on there. And Jewel, just to make sure that it has cleared. And simple.